And let's get the whole thing started, shall we? So let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to quit your job and become a full-time real estate investor? So again, if you want to participate with this, one way to do it is to put up your hand virtually there on the screen, so that way I can see that you're responding, so when we get some feedback there. So if you like that idea, put up your hand. All right, I see some hands coming up. Thank you very much. How do you like this? Let's say you're already involved in real estate investing. You've got a door or two, you're a landlord. Instead of getting $50 or $75 a month net positive cash flow, or even going negative, how would you like to get $500, $800, even $1,000 a month or more positive cash flow from one little single family home? How would you like that idea? How about replacing your full-time income with just 3 or 4 little creative deals? And how about probably the one I like the most is doing what you want, when you want, and with whom you want. Who likes that idea? And if you do have any experience dealing with tenants, how do you like the idea of not having to deal with property management issues or tenant issues? I see Alan putting up his hand all over the place there. So yeah, you're in the right place. That's definitely what we're going to be talking about here. And I'm going to be showing you step by step my 5 steps to rent-to-own success, plus some other creative real estate investing techniques with a big goal in mind. We'll go over that. So over the next 75 minutes, I promise you 2 things. I'm going to show you and teach you how to do rent-to-own here in Canada. Now again, this is Canadian information for the Canadian market, put together by a Canadian. That's me. So let me ask you a question. Are you ready to learn how to create a $100,000 income with as few as 3 little creative deals? And how would you like to do that in a year or less? All right. So again, hands going up all over the place. That is great. So we're going to be showing you my 5 key steps to financial success through rent-to-own. Again, those cutting-edge strategies for getting as much as 10 times or more the average cash flow of traditional buy and hold properties. And how to even do this, getting into rent-to-own real estate investing or other creative real estate investing, even with no money down, not having to use investors, and in many cases where your credit is really irrelevant. How do I know that? Because I've been there, done that. Okay, and again, like we say, especially for those landlords out there, how to virtually eliminate tenant and toilet headaches forever. So again, like I said before, we've got some big goals. What I want to transmit to you is how you can create a $100,000 profit from as few as 3 little creative real estate deals. That includes rent-to-own if you choose. How to do it either part-time or full-time, your choice. And best of all, how to do this in a year or less if you really put your mind to it. So you notice the top right picture, I Googled up there $100,000 cash Canadian. That's what came up, something like that. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but it looks pretty darn good to me. How'd you like to create that in net profit from as few as 3 little deals? Now, the way a lot of people think about creating $100,000 is the way the guy in the bottom right did it, by winning Lotto 649. Well, got to tell you, chances of that happening are pretty darn slim. And if that's what you're counting on, you're on the wrong call. But I know just from the fact that you signed up for this and that you showed up tonight, that's not how you think. However, we all know people that is their plan for how to create chunks of change, is to win the lottery, and it just never happens. All right? Now, if that's too big of a thought, creating $100,000, how about baby steps? What would it be like if you just did 1 little creative deal and you netted 25 grand? What would you do with it, extra 25 grand? Would that be okay? So, I mean, if we think about it, the average Canadian salary is somewhere around $47,000 per year, if you average everybody out. So if you did 1 little creative deal a year, that's very, very part-time, that would be like giving yourself a 50% raise if you netted 25 grand, right? And a lot of our creative deals are more like $40,000 to $50,000 in profits, kind of in that range. So in that case, that would be the equivalent of a 100% raise doing something on a very part-time basis. I think a lot of people would be happy with that. So I'm going to kind of compare and contrast traditional buy and hold and rent-to-own real estate investing. Now, you buy and hold folks, don't get your noses out of joint. I agree. Buy and hold is the key to long-term wealth creation. However, there's a very, very important part of that phrase. That's long-term wealth creation. What I'm going to be talking about today is how to create short-term profits and cash flow. Short-term profits and cash flow, and ideally enough short-term profits and cash flow to be able to focus on real estate investing full-time if you so choose, to really create this as your profession. Now, I highly encourage people when they're doing this to also be building up their long-term buy and hold portfolio, because again, that's what's going to carry you along in the future and down the road. That's your retirement plan. But that for right now, let's just kind of compare and contrast the two of them. So traditional buy and hold, we all know, typically very, very low net cash flow. In fact, a lot of people have negative cash flow. Rent to own and creative strategies, we're talking about phenomenal cash flow, 5 times, 8 times, 10 times as much as you get with a traditional buy and hold. Buy and hold, either yourself or your management team has to deal with those dreaded 3 a.m. come fix my gross plugged toilet phone calls. Not fun. When you're doing rent to own, you virtually eliminate all of the tenant and toilet headaches, and I'll show you step by step how that works. Buy and hold is, like it says, hold. It's long term. We're looking at 10, 15, 20, 25 years in a lot of cases to really get the full benefit of long-term appreciation and mortgage paydown. Rent to own, we're talking about quick deals, quick turn, quick returns. 2 to 3 year plans is what we're typically looking at. One of the challenges with buy and hold is there really isn't a clear exit strategy. It's all about timing the market. And if you want to sell or you need to sell when the market's not quite cooperating with you, that can be a big challenge. Rent to own, on the other hand, has defined exit strategies and built-in profit right there. Traditional buy and hold, you need a lot of money, 20 to 35% down. With rent to own, we can show you how to get into it with no risk, low to no risk, and even with no money down as well. All right, so the time is now. I want you to get, I want you to hopefully capture some of my enthusiasm about rent to own and creative real estate investing and get so excited about it that you can't wait to get involved and hopefully come out to my upcoming Rent to Own Profit Summit here in Kamloops in July, and also to be part of our new Creative Profits Club group membership program as well. That is my intention and my hope for you, because I do believe I've created the absolute best program for training you on how to do creative real estate investing available anywhere. So we'll be talking about that a little bit further on in the program. So give you a second to read this slide. So this is something that, you know, the older I get, the more I realize just how true this is. Life is too short to waste it doing a job that you hate, or if you're in a career that doesn't really do anything for you. Maybe you started off, you were excited about it, but now it's just lost its luster. In other words, if you're not going for it and living up to your potential, you're wasting it. Right? Now, I don't claim to be hitting my full potential yet, but I am on my own path, and basically, make it or break it, I'm living life on my own terms. I absolutely love it. I've been doing this for years, and you know, it's got its pros and its cons, but overall, I can't think of a better way to be making a living. So if you aren't doing that yourself, if you aren't living life on your own terms, I'm going to suggest that now is the time to really seriously think about that. I was just reading about this, and on their deathbeds, the biggest regret people have is for the things they didn't do, the chances they didn't take, the opportunities they did not go after. There's a book out there called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, and what the author found is the #1 regret was this: I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. And these folks died knowing that they hadn't even come close to even half of their dreams. It was because of the choices that they made and the choices they did not make. So, you know, I'm trying to transmit this to you. It's time to live life on your own terms. Take control of it. Have fun with it. Enjoy it again. That's what it's all about. Life's too short not to do that. So in a moment, I'm going to be showing you and teaching you about how to get started making, money quickly, very, very quickly with rent-to-own real estate investing. And again, I'm going to show you the step-by-step, our 5 steps to rent-to-own success. But before I do this, let me tell you a little bit about myself so we can connect and you can see why I'm here talking to you about this today. Because again, we got a lot of people that know me, but quite a few who don't as well. So basically, I am a redneck from a little place called Taylor, British Columbia. That's northeastern British Columbia, about 10 miles outside of Fort St. John. And up until recently, nobody knew what the heck Taylor was, where it was, anything about my hometown until CBC did a lovely TV show called Village on a Diet. So my hometown's claim to fame right now is we're kind of chubby. And unfortunately, I kind of live up to that claim to fame for the town myself. So anyhow, that's where I was born and raised. That top left picture, you see the short guy with the big mouth, the bottle of tequila in his hand. That's me with a bunch of my rowdy high school buddies having a good time. Short guy, big mouth. Some things don't change over time. But had a good time in high school. Didn't get very good grades. But I decided I wanted to go to university. And UBC wouldn't let me in. They said my grade point average was not high enough. And that was back when it wasn't really all that tough to get into UBC. So I did not have stellar grades. So I actually had to go to community college for a year, get my grades up. Then I went and spent 3 years in the hallowed halls of the University of British Columbia, not doing much studying there. That again, short guy, big mouth in the middle there, having a good time. And I got a basically asinine degree in psychology. Wasn't getting any great job offers. I graduated in 1990, and if you recall way back then, if you remember way back into 1990, economic situation was kind of similar to what we have now. Kind of flat. So I decided, what the heck, nothing holding me back. I'll go see a bit of the world. So I spent a year living in beautiful Mexico, right around Puerto Vallarta. Had a lot of fun there, did several different jobs, including one was a fun one as an extra on a joint Canadian-Israeli television production filmed in Mexico for American TV, to say that 5 times in a row quickly, called Sweating Bullets. And if you didn't ever hear about it, that's because it only had about 5 episodes before they pulled it off. But that was a fun experience. Also did a little bit of work in the timeshare industry. And basically I was just a beach bum having a great time for a little over a year in Puerto Vallarta. If you see the bottom left picture, that skinny guy on the boogie board with a beer in his hand, that's me. I have come to realize that if you have too many of those beers, you don't stay skinny very long. So just a warning for everybody out there. I then spent a year and a half traveling around Mexico and Central America, picked up Spanish in Guatemala along the way. I didn't really pick it up. I studied it intensively for about 3 months. Ended up in beautiful San Jose, Costa Rica. Fell in love with the country. My original plan was to travel all the way down to Argentina, see the whole bit, Central America, South America, the whole bit. Made it as far as Costa Rica. That's as far as I went. Fell in love with the country, fell in love with one specific tica, Costa Rican, my lovely wife Susie, and I started a business down there. It was a language training company where we would send English teachers on site to give English classes to companies, corporations, executives, employees, etc. That was a lot of fun, but it was kind of interesting. I was actually at the beginning a wetback in Central America. That's kind of poetic justice, right? I was a Canadian wetback working illegally in Central America until I married my lovely wife Susie, made a legal man out of me, and we have our beautiful family, my daughter Amy and my son Andy, and they are definitely the light of my life and my biggest why. So today I am blessed with a beautiful, healthy, generally happy family. We live in a nice house. We've got nice vehicles. We travel at least 6 weeks a year. In fact, we just got back from the Caribbean about a month and a half ago. I just attended a 4-day personal retreat last week. I'm going to be attending a 5-day retreat next week. I've got a lot of flexibility and freedom. I'm happy to say that I'm able to do what I want, when I want, and how I want to do it. Now, I'm not saying this to brag. I just want to give you a little bit of background. But definitely things have not always been so rosy for me. Back in 2003, that's when Susie and I decided that we wanted to move to Canada. Now everybody says, Dave, Costa Rica, tropical paradise, successful business, great lifestyle. Why the heck would you move from Costa Rica to Canada, and why the heck Kamloops of all places? And the answer is, well, you don't realize what you've got till you don't have it anymore. So living overseas for 10 years, well, actually 14 years altogether, just about, between Mexico and my travels and all that kind of stuff, made me appreciate what we have here in this amazing country of ours. And you really don't get that appreciation until you've been away for a while. So my wife Susie and I decided that Canada would be a better place for our kids to grow up, better opportunities for education, better security situation. So we basically left everything and started all over again from scratch in Kamloops. Why did we pick Kamloops? Basically climate. If you've got a tropical wife, you better get the closest thing to the tropics you can find in Canada, and I guess that would be the Okanagan area of British Columbia. But when I came back, I was starting over from scratch. It was almost like I was a new immigrant in Canada. So I spoke the language reasonably well. I had the passport, but I had very little money. I'd been gone for so long, and I'd left when I was so young, I never established credit, so I had zero credit. I had no job because basically being self-employed for the last 10 years and not really ever having a real quote-unquote job, I was pretty much unemployable. So I had no contacts. Again, we got started in Kamloops, a brand new city for everybody. So no money, no credit, no contacts, and just getting started. And I decided to come to town about 3 months before I was going to go pick up my wife and kids, actually 4 months, to kind of get established, find us a place to live, that kind of stuff. And in the beginning, I actually lived in a boarding house for a month and a half, I believe, 6-7 weeks when I first got here. It was a pretty lonely experience. And because I'd owned my own home in my office building in Costa Rica, I was pretty naive. I thought it would be pretty easy to get financing to buy a home in Canada. So I tromped down to my local banker and had a little visit with one of the big 5 banks, which will remain anonymous. I'll just give you a hint. It starts, the letters for it start with a C and end with a C. I'll let you put together the rest there. And I can vividly remember that bank manager snickering behind my back after he turned me down for a mortgage. He basically told me to come back in a couple of years if my new business made it and if I had a credit rating that even showed up on the radar. That was a bad day. I left there. I felt stupid. I felt ignorant. I felt humiliated. And I felt like a failure because I had this image in mind that I was going to go buy a nice house for my wife and my family and us and get settled in here in Kamloops. Didn't happen. So I ended up buying a crappy old Dodge Caravan minivan. That was a real beaut. And I rented a townhouse in a not-so-great part of town. Went to the Salvation Army and picked up some used furniture, and that's what we had. That's what I moved my family into. And it wasn't terrible, but it sure wasn't great. It was a shock for my poor wife because we had a nice lifestyle in Costa Rica. So she went from living in a nice house in a nice neighborhood with maids and gardener and all that kind of stuff to living in half a duplex in the rough area of town in Kamloops. So it was a shock, to say the least. So in spite of that experience with the bank, I still thought real estate investing would be a good way to create income. And now I knew I would not get financing with the big banks, but I didn't understand about using investors' money. So I bought one of those American, get rich quick in real estate, no money down type courses from one of those late night TV infomercials. So that was how I started getting my education. So I ended up investing over $10,000 in different real estate courses. Most of them were American, and then I would have to take what I learned and what I call Canadianize it. And that meant a lot of trial and error, seeing what works and what does not work here in Canada. Some stuff does, some stuff doesn't. And to be honest with you, at the beginning I made a lot of mistakes. I went into a lot of debt trying to make things work with the business, trying to keep up appearances, especially to my wife. I'm embarrassed to say that I was not honest with her. I can remember lying awake late at night, worrying about what would happen if she discovered my credit card bills. You know, I was doing that stupid stuff of paying one credit card bill with a cash advance from another, and all this kind of stuff. It sucked, and it was basically just ego trying to keep up with the Joneses. Not a good situation. But with all that said, I was able to do 18 creative real estate deals in about 18 months. So after a couple of years being back in Canada, I was able to buy my wife the exact house she wanted. I mean, exactly to the T. We came across that property, and I did it creatively as well with a good chunk of owner financing. So didn't go through the big five banks, and did it with some creative financing. So stuck it to the man that way. It felt good, that's for sure. A little bit of vindication, I guess would be the word. During and around that time, I met Canadian rich dad Darren Weeks, worked with him exclusively for about 5 years, got out of the whole real estate thing, and I was a marketing guy for his fast track group of companies. I helped them grow very, very well fast over that time. That was a lot of fun. Never lost my passion for real estate investing. And so I started teaching with Darren at his different events. We put on some real estate events and whatnot. That's where I met Ken Beaton, who has become a really, really good friend. Ken is just a phenomenal real estate investor, the real deal. It focuses primarily on multifamily properties, but one of the most creative people that I know, and that's why we worked together and wrote this book, Creative Real Estate Investing for Canadians. That was my first book. Then, speaking of books, just published my latest book, Rent-to-Own Profits for Canadians, with my big brother Dan Dubois. He's also a professional rent-to-own real estate investor based in Halifax. So that's the latest book. Like doing fun things, getting a little bit of an adrenaline rush, doing different things there. So pretty much you name it, I'm up for giving it a try. And definitely love traveling. Here's some photos of some trips that we've done with our members. So this would be what we call now our Creative Profits Club members. We've gone on group trips to Mexico. We've done 2 trips to Scottsdale, Arizona to visit Kiyosaki and the Rich Dad offices there, and that was a lot of fun. Our most recent trip was a Caribbean cruise in April of this year, and that was an absolute blast as well. So had the pleasure of speaking on stage with some very, very cool people. Big George Foreman on the top left there. That guy's huge. If you look at that photo, he is actually sitting on a stool, and I'm standing up. So I admit, I'm not all that tall, but I'm not a complete shrimp either, but that guy is absolutely huge. On the right, much smaller, more gentler individual, Robert Herjavec from Dragon's Den. And at the bottom, on the left, Ken McElroy, a phenomenal real estate investor, and of course, Rich Dad himself, Robert Kiyosaki. And it looks like I've said something really funny, but I think I just dropped something or something like that. All right, my passion, what I love about this is teaching it. This is what really juices me up, as watching people, the light bulb go off, watching them take action and really get things going with their own creative real estate investing careers. So enough about me. Here's a good picture of, speaking of real estate investing and training, a very, very good picture of one of our recent Rent-to-Own Profit Summits here in Kamloops with a group of fantastic rent-to-own investors right there. So let's jump in and talk about what some of the biggest challenges are that people are facing right now. And again, there's lots and lots of challenges that people basically impose on themselves. So there's a lot of things, you know, people are afraid that they won't have time to do this. They're either too busy with their current JOBs, or if they already are real estate investors, they're too busy with property management and maintenance. There's always the money issue. No money, or if they're investing, there's crappy cash flow. People don't know how to start, where to turn, worried that there won't be support when they need it. Of course, the biggest one, lack of confidence. Maybe this will work for somebody else. This works in Kamloops with Dave, but it can't work for me. I'll show you that that's definitely not true. If I can do it, you can definitely do it. And actually, it's proven. We've got successful students across the country. Big cities, small towns, big towns, you name it, all over the place, successfully doing rent-to-own. Competition. I don't believe there is too much competition. even when there is a lot of competition. And I'll show you how you can avoid that whole negative chatter in your brain about there being too much competition. And then, of course, it'll work other places, but it won't work in my area. So definitely not the case. You don't need to worry about any of that. I have figured this all out for you. My system is the solution, and this is the rent-own cash-on-demand system together with the new Creative Profits Club, and we're going to be talking about that later on in the presentation. Okay, enough chit-chat. Let's jump into the meat of the whole presentation. I'm going to teach you what the 5 steps are to get up and running with your own profitable rent-own real estate investing business in any Canadian market. If you haven't got it already, now's the time to get your pen and paper ready to start taking notes. And please write these down. Don't worry if you don't catch them all right now. We're going to go over each one much more in depth. So step number 1 to massive profits in Canadian rent-own real estate investing is attracting clients. That's right, attracting clients. We don't call them tenants. We don't call them customers, and I'll tell you why in a second. Step number 2, after we've attracted them, we need to figure out a way to quickly pre-screen, sift, and sort these prospective clients and find out which ones are really what I call A clients. And we want to get some cash up front. Skin in the game is what I like to call it. Step number 3, we're going to focus right now on what I call the client first method of rent-own, which means we get the client first and then we let them choose a property. So that's this step number 3 is getting the property. Step number 4, this is where I see most uneducated rent-own investors screwing things up absolutely. And this is the key step to making sure the deal goes smoothly, and that's getting your client qualified to purchase the property from you at the end of the deal, and in the meanwhile, enjoying that phenomenal cash flow. And finally, last but not least, wrapping up the deals and cashing out. So if we look at it visually, this is kind of how it looks like. Attracting clients, pre-screening them, that's quickly sifting and sorting, acquiring the property, helping our client get qualified for financing, and cashing the checks, and then cha-ching, getting a nice little payday at the end as well. So we're getting money up front, outstanding monthly cash flow, and nice paydays at the end of the deals as well. All right, so step number 1, if you didn't get a chance to write it down earlier, now you got time. And I'm going to give you some big overall tips on how to do this. I go into this obviously much more in depth in the program, but I want to give you some high-level tips that you can take and you can start using these right away, whether you're into rent-own, if you're into buy and hold, whatever kind of real estate investing you're doing, you can benefit from these ideas. So please take notes. So first thing is attracting clients. And I call the people I work with my clients because that's how I look at the relationship. This is a client relationship. They're not a customer, because in my mind, a customer is somebody who comes in, buys something, leaves. You may or may not see them again. A client is someone who you have a longer-term, more personal relationship with. We are truly invested in their success, so it's a much closer relationship than just a customer. So one of the first things you want to have going for you is a powerful lead generation website. A powerful lead generation website. Very, very important. And why is that important? Because nowadays with technology being the way it is, this is the #1 way we can really streamline our business and automate it to a big, big, big degree. I don't know about you, but I really don't have the time or inclination to be taking phone calls day and night from people who are kind of tire kickers. I would rather let my website do the heavy lifting for me and to sift and sort and filter them, get them to opt into the website, get them to fill out an application form there, and then all I do is I look at the applications and quickly judge if that person looks like they're an A, B, or a C quality of prospective client. Personally, I only follow up with the A and the B prospects, and the C prospects, I send them a nice letter, but I keep them in the pipeline, but I don't spend a lot of time with them. If you take that idea and run with it, that will save you so much time. You'll thank me over and over and over again. Okay, so it's not enough just to have a powerful lead generation website up and running. You need to push traffic to that website. So how do we do that? Well, different ways. We do it online and we do it offline. Online advertising can be things like Kijiji and Craigslist and online classifieds. You can even get fancy and do Facebook ads and Google ads and Yahoo ads and all these different things. There are many, many different ways of pushing traffic to your website online, and the ones we like the best are local classified ad sites where the majority of your market is looking at properties for rent, properties for sale, that sort of thing. And again, that can be different from city to city. Here in Kamloops, for example, Kijiji's #1. In Victoria, on the other hand, Used Victoria is a more popular site than Kijiji. So it depends on where you're at. Different areas have different sites that are more popular. Then we've got offline advertising as well. So a lot of people have given up advertising in the newspaper, and I think that's great because that means there's less competition for us. So newspaper ads still work, and in fact, my argument would be that even though you don't get as many people contacting you from newspaper ads, I think the quality of people who contact you is much higher. Then we've got good old-fashioned business cards and tear tab signs. So again, old school stuff still works like the dickens, because here's kind of a little secret. When you see everybody rushing online, that should cause you to pause and think, okay, everybody's going that direction. How do I zig and go a slightly different direction and capture a larger section of the market? Do some offline, old school stuff, and you'll be very, very happy with the results. And how would you like me to share? Let me open this up so I can see everybody. And I'm going to get everybody's hands down there. Okay, welcome to everybody else who's just come on recently. All right, lots of great people there. Okay, so let's see by a show of hands. You can click your little hand button there on your GoToWebinar control thing. How would you like me to share one of the simplest, easiest, and least expensive marketing strategies that's available to us? Who would like that? Let's see a show of hands, or I can skip it. Oh, okay, there we go. We can see some hands there. Anna, okay, Barry, Bill's hands up. Brett, Bryce, good to see that hand going up there, Bryce. Clinton, Debbie, okay, Don. The rest of you might not have heard it, but for the benefit of the ones that did put up the hands, I'm going to share it with you. And probably the best bang for my buck I've gotten from offline advertising has been this. What is this? It's vehicle signage. So if you see the top pictures there, that's my old I Buy Houses van I had, and I apologize if the quality's not that good. I never thought to take a really good picture of the van with all the signage on it, so this is just kind of the few photos I had of it. But the van had I Buy Houses all over it, and I can track down I can track down my most profitable deal from that vehicle signage. The bottom picture is my newest vehicle, a Toyota FJ Cruiser with my renting sex or rent-to-own signage on it, and I've definitely done one deal, no, actually I think 2 deals from people seeing the signs on those vehicles. So let's see. Made about $40,000 on one of those deals. The signage costs $100. What's the return on my investment? I have no idea. I just know it's a heck of a lot. How would you like to have that kind of a return on your marketing investment? And let's see, I'm going to put everybody's hands down. How would you like to put in about $100 and get $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 out? Alan likes that idea. Anybody else like that idea? Yep, Brett, Bryce, all those guys. Okay, you guys are listening. I like that. That's right. Vehicle signage. So few people do it. I don't know why not. It works. Trust me. So here's an example of one of our students, and this is Rick Wheeler with his nice pick-em-up truck with his stop renting, rent-to-own signage on it. That's what he runs around town with. I like how creative he got. He got the stop there with a little stop sign in there. Very, very nice. Very simple. Bang, right in your face, black on yellow, then white on black. You cannot miss that sign. And very, very simple message. Stop renting, rent-to-own, his phone number, his website. That's all you need. That's all you have time for. That's what you need to focus on. So that is definitely a writer-downer. Make sure you've got vehicle signage. Now here's a little tip. I'll back up here. Yeah, there we go. All right, so the vehicle on the top, that was my minivan, and I had decals put all over the vehicle and the windows and stuff like that, and that was great. It worked really, really well. But there was a disadvantage to that, and that is the fact that my family wasn't always thrilled about driving around in the I Buy Houses minivan. Same thing kind of happens with my newer vehicle with the Renting Sucks. So kids and the wife aren't always thrilled to ride around in the Renting Sucks mobile. So my solution was I got magnetic signs. So if I'm going out with the wife for a nice dinner or something like that, just take the signs off, put the wife in the car, tootle around town, have dinner, take the wife home, remember to put the signs back on the car, and everybody's happy. So there you go. There's a solution for you if you don't want to have permanent signage on your vehicle. Now, speaking of Rick Wheeler is one of our rock and roll rock stars of rent-to-own. Just one heck of a great young man. And he took these concepts and really, really ran with them. So Rick's been a guy after my own heart, self-employed for a very long time, since a young age. Well, what am I saying? He's still young, for crying out loud. But he started off being self-employed, and he and his brother got into real estate investing, and he bought, I can't remember, 3 or 4 or 5 doors, but he was kind of getting into the whole frustrated landlord thing. So dealing with tenants and toilets and all that kind of stuff was getting frustrating. So he wanted to be involved in real estate investing, but he wanted to try something different, so he started rent-to-own real estate investing. He currently has 6 rent-to-own deals on the go, and I believe he's still got 4 or 5 buy and hold properties. So again, very, very smart. He's doing both at the same time. And in fact, I'd like to feature a couple of Rick's deals because in the past I've featured my own, but I want to show you that this isn't just something that happens with Dave or happens in Kamloops. So I'll feature a couple of Rick's deals as well as my own. So here's Rick's very first deal. He got this up and going within a month of finishing my course. Now, he had an advantage. This was actually one of the properties he currently owned in his portfolio. But he was in the situation a lot of landlords are in, or investors are in, that he made a few mistakes. So he bought this property, and they spent way too much money on doing renos. I think it was his first reno project, and it just goes that way. Your first reno project always goes over time, over budget, and it turned out when they got a renter in there, they were actually negative cash flowing each and every month. So he wasn't very happy about that. He turned his own property into a rent-to-own deal and just blew the socks off pretty much anything I've gotten. He got $40,000 up front as a non-refundable option fee. Now that is incredibly high. That is not the norm. So don't think that you're going to be getting 40 grand up front for these kind of deals. Typically, we're looking at $12,000, $14,000, $20,000 up front is kind of the norm. He got $40,000 up front as a non-refundable option fee, and that was because the person wanted to give them that. He didn't even ask for that. He's seeing just under $540 a month net cash flow. So he went from negative cash flow to positive $540 a month. Total profit he's going to be seeing on this property in 2 years is just over $57,000. That's right, $57,000 total profit on this one deal in 2 years through rent-to-own. So step number 2. Let me just stop and take a look here, see if we've got some questions. I probably won't be able to answer everybody's questions throughout the whole thing, but got people saying hi and thank you and all this kind of stuff. All right, people talking about this. I'm just checking things out here, you guys. All right. And Bryce is asking about, even with all the technology out there, vehicle signage is the best. What about the traffic that Kijiji gets? Okay, very good question. I'm not saying doing one or the other. I say do all of it. I'm just saying that most people don't think about doing vehicle signage, and it can have a huge impact. You're going to get a lot more traffic from Kijiji and online ads and that kind of stuff, but there's also a difference between quantity and quality. So you want to do both. It's not one or the other, it's both. Okay, very good. Hopefully you got step number one, and that is attracting clients. So again, this is like any business. You need a consistent, constant flow of prospective clients coming into your business or coming across your desk so that you can sift and sort and filter through them to create actual clients. And that's what marketing is all about. So step number two, once we've got traffic coming to our website, once we've got people opting in, we have to learn how to quickly and efficiently pre-screen these clients, because this can be the biggest time suck in the business. So you need to be very, very aware of several very important factors. So number one is income. You want to make sure that whoever's applying for your program has the income, verifiable income, to be able to afford and to be able to qualify for a mortgage after 2 or 3 years. Credit issues, yes. I mean, obviously, a lot of our clients, prospective clients, are going to have credit issues, but they have to be fixable. I don't have a problem dealing with people who have credit challenges, but for my program, it has to be fixable within 2 to 3 years. You need to find out the real story about why they can't buy right now. So sometimes people have stories that aren't necessarily the truth. You have to dig in, and you have to find out what's the reason they cannot qualify for a mortgage right now. Now, big, big, big one. Underline this, circle it, stars beside it, whatever you want, because this is a big mistake I see newbies making over and over again. They fall in love with a prospective client. Everything sounds great. They've got a great job. They got fixable credit. They're keen on the program. They want to move ahead. They want to do it now. There's just one little problem. They don't have any money. Okay? That's a big problem. No skin in the game, no game. Skin in the game means they have to have money up front to put in towards purchasing the property. I mean, if I'm going to go out and buy a house for somebody, I need to know that they're very, very serious about buying that house for me in 2 or 3 years. Otherwise, I'm putting myself and my investors at risk. So they got to have cash on hand. How much cash? Well, if I'm doing a client first rent-own deal, I like to see at least, rock bottom minimum, 4% of the purchase price of the property as a non-refundable option fee. Now, this non-refundable option fee, it's going to apply towards the down payment when they purchase the property, but if they skip out on the deal, they flake out on the deal, anything like that, they forfeit that option fee. Okay, so that's the cash on hand. Now, speaking of clients, some people say, well, Dave, I mean, it sounds like this is very limiting. You can only work with, a certain percentage of the population. Well, actually, it's a much bigger percentage than you might think. I've heard a couple of different stats thrown around, but approximately, latest things I heard, approximately 30% of Canadians who can afford a mortgage right now cannot qualify for one with the picky big banks and their qualification process. 30% of people who can actually afford to pay a mortgage payment every month can't qualify to get that mortgage because the requirements are so stringent nowadays. They've tightened up on the credit. So that is a huge opportunity for us. That's a big, big, big market across the country. Okay? That's why it's so important that you learn how to quickly and efficiently pre-screen your prospects. Another important one, realistic expectations. I've dealt with, excuse me, I have a little sip of tea there, dealt with lots of people who are keen on doing rent-own, but they're completely out to lunch with their expectations. What does that mean? That means, for example, somebody with a family income of $40,000, $45,000 is hoping to get into a $500,000 home. Okay, well, I hate to break it to them, it's just not going to happen. They have to be realistic about what they're going to be able to qualify for, how much property, how much house they can afford, and that sort of thing. So they have to have realistic expectations. Okay, let's see. Again, audience participation. And I'll just see here. Okay, so we've got lots of questions here. So you guys, again, I probably won't have time to answer all of the questions personally. However, I'll do my best. No promises, but I'll do my best to answer them by email. If you're a CPC member, you're welcome to use our CPC email address as well to ask me any questions. But I've got a lot of slides to go through in a short amount of time, and I want to respect your time. So let's see, by a show of hands, how would you like to find out about 2 of my favorite kinds of prospective rent-to-own clients? There are 5 kinds altogether, but how would you like to find out about my top 2? Anna likes that idea. Lila likes it. Marilyn likes it. The ladies like this idea. Guys, where are you? Alan likes it. Alan, you're in for everything, buddy. I love you. Brett, okay, good. Everybody's getting on board. All right, I will tell you, just because you asked, just because you asked, I'll be happy to share that with you. Okay, 2 of my 5 main types of prospective rent-own clients. One of my favorite categories are new immigrants. And this picture here is actually, Wagner, I don't even know if you knew I was going to put this up here. This is a picture of my right-hand man, Wagner, his lovely wife, Gisa, and their beautiful little girl, Mirella. And these folks are new immigrants to the country. Well, not so much new anymore, but they were when they started with me. I love working with new immigrants. Why? Because they are so motivated. They've wanted to come. They've had to jump through a gazillion hoops to get here, if they've come in legally, in the first place. I mean, it's a really onerous process, and they are keen to live the Canadian dream. So they are so motivated. They're so hardworking. They're so, generally speaking, easy to work with because they follow instructions. They do what they need to do to get qualified for a mortgage. So Wagner and his family, in that situation, came to the country, new immigrants. They had not established credit. They didn't have a lot of money, and they wanted to get into their own home. So we were able to do that with them, got them into a home that they liked and they could afford. And actually, Wagner just bought that house from me. When was that? Last summer. So they're in their own home almost for a year now. So I love working with new immigrants. Now, here's a little note. If you are an immigrant yourself, take note of this. This is a huge prospective market for you. So, for example, I've got one student in Edmonton. I can't remember if it's Edmonton or Calgary. One of those two. He's Filipino. And what he decided to do was to focus on the Filipino market for his rent-to-own business. It was perfect. He's Filipino. They're Filipinos. They speak the same language. He's been in the same boat they're in. He knows exactly where they're coming from, understands their situation, and he can help them get into a home when they couldn't do it otherwise. So he's got a captive market right there. If they're going to choose between working with him or me, for example, they'd be way smarter to work with him because he really gets them. So if you're a new immigrant, don't see that as a disadvantage. It can be a huge advantage because you can market in your native language to other people who are new immigrants from your country into Canada. So great opportunity there. And another category I really like working with are people who are self-employed. Professional salespeople, folks who are working from home, small business owners, entrepreneurs, people who work for themselves. Now, why is this such a great market? Well, it used to be 5-6 years ago, if you were self-employed, you could basically, I can't remember what the term was for that. Stated income, that's right. You could, credit was a lot looser back then. So the banks would say, well, okay, Mr. Smith, you're self-employed. It says here that you're only claiming that you're making $25,000 a year. However, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we know you're probably doing a lot of tricky stuff bookkeeping-wise, running a lot of stuff through your company, et cetera, et cetera. So how much do you really make? What's your real take-home income? And Mr. Smith would say, well, really, I'm making a lot closer to $75,000 a year if you take everything into account. They say, okay, great, $75,000 it is, and you qualify for X amount of house. Well, that was all good and fine until credit tightened up. So now those smart bookkeeping practices are biting self-employed folks in the butt when they're trying to buy a house because Now the banks will not accept stated income. They have to have verifiable income. Not just that, it has to be at least 2 years worth of verifiable income at the level that you need to be able to qualify for a mortgage. So what's the good news? The good news is there's a hell of a lot of self-employed people in Canada as well, and a lot of them are in this situation. And the other great thing is if they have an established business, they can easily get their verifiable income up in that 2-year period. So, if they've got a successful business, I like that a lot because you've got a lot less worry about them losing a job because they own their job. And second of all, if they've got an established track record, you can see that there's a good chance they're going to be able to keep up their payments, come up with money for down payments, that sort of thing. So they are also a very, very good group to work with. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. I'm going to give you a suggestion. Write this down because this came from hard-earned personal experience with a deal that went wrong with someone who was newly self-employed. So I would highly recommend that if you're working with somebody who's self-employed, make sure that they've got 2 or 3 years of track record with their business established, profitable, working nicely before you do a rent-own deal with them. If they're just getting started with their business, we've all heard the stats about the percentage of businesses that fail. You have to be very, very cognizant of that. Okay, so just a warning there. I would highly recommend that you make sure that they've got 2 or 3 years of verifiable track record before you work with them. Okay, let's take another look at another one of Rick Wheeler's deals. So this is another little house in Edmonton. Heck, you can even see his for rent sign there. on this one, actually, I think the story is this: he got, I think he got this from a landlord. So he got this property, and he got a tenant buyer in there, a rent-own client in there, $14,000 up front as a non-refundable option fee. Again, this applies towards their down payment when they purchase the property. They forfeit it if they skip out on the deal. And that's more realistic. Because the last one was 40 grand, this one's 14,000. This is more along the norm, 14 to 20,000, that sort of thing. And he's seeing a very nice $971 a month net positive cash flow. Total profit for this deal over, I believe, 2 years, just over $49,000. So those are the kind of profits you can be looking at as well when you get involved with rent-own real estate investing. Okay, here's one of our favorite students, Gary Levesque from Victoria. Again, just a great guy, and he's saying, won't read the whole thing, but I'll read the dark part there. He says, by following his well-defined steps, I've been able to realize my dream of having a solid real estate investment business and still help folks get into homes they may have never been able to acquire without this system. Okay, so that's Gary talking about the rent-own system. Okay, we're working on step 3 of 5. Wow. So again, just a quick recap. Step number 1, we got to do marketing. We have to attract clients and potential rent-own clients to us. Step number 2, we have to quickly sift, sort, and filter through them to make sure they qualify for our program. I also talked about 2 of the 5 favorite categories of potential rent-own clients that I like to work with, and those are new immigrants and people who are self-employed. So now we're going along, chugging along. We've done our marketing, we've sifted and sorted, we've found an ideal client who fits the bill and who is qualified for our program. They don't qualify for a mortgage, but they qualify for our program. They've got the income, they got the fixable credit, they got realistic expectations, they've got cash, they've got skin in the game, and they're ready to go. So the next step is, with this program, which is the client first method, we're going to actually let them go house shopping. So the way I do this is I have a friendly realtor on board as part of my team. I send out my client with the realtor. Well, actually, I get the realtor to pull up a whole bunch of listings of properties that fit the parameters of what we're looking for. So we're looking at price range, we're looking at area of town that they're going to be in, how close to schools, transportation, whatever their requirements are, just kind of like a normal home buyer would be. We're going to let them find the properties, And then what I ask them to do is to pick 2 or 3 options. This is also another writer-downer. Not just one. Have them pick out 2 or 3 options. Why is that? It's kind of too bad that you guys are on the other end of a computer and we can't go back and forth on this, so I kind of have to answer my own questions, but so be it. Why do we want them to pick 2 or 3 options? Because here's the thing. We want to make sure that, A, they're happy with the house, but more importantly, from our point of view, we have to be happy with the house. So it has to be a decent property in a good neighborhood and in good shape, okay? So if it's not fitting our parameters, or if we do a home inspection on the thing and there turns out that there's some big challenge with it, we want to have a plan B that's easy to go with, okay? So we don't want them to just fall in love with one property and then have to start the whole thing over again if that one doesn't work out. So 2 or 3 different options. Check out the property. I mentioned a home inspection. Very, very important to have a professional home inspection done on the property. And here's the deal, though. You want to make sure that you get a good home inspector on your team who understands your program. I actually want the home inspector to pick this thing apart and find all of the problems with it. Several reasons for that. I want to make sure there aren't any surprises when we get into this property and we buy it. And second of all, I want to find out all the nitpicky little problems with it so I can actually renegotiate with the seller and get a better price on the property as well. Everybody benefits from that, and it just gives us a point for negotiation. So make sure you get the property checked out professionally. Then, like I say, we go into negotiations and we buy it ourselves, or if we're working with an investor, we get it under contract. If you're getting it under contract, make sure that you've got in there in your contract it's you and or your assigns for purchasing the property. Different provinces have different rules about that, but that's the general idea. You want to be able to assign that contract to your investor if you're going to be working with an investor. Okay, how would you guys like a bonus? Anybody interested in a little bonus? Let me put down here. What I'd like to talk to you about right now are a couple of the kinds of properties you absolutely, positively, always, never forget, absolutely must avoid at all costs. How would you like to know what kind of houses not to touch with a 10-foot pole? So let's see some hands going up here. All right, good. Alan, you're right on board there. Properties that you don't want to deal with. That's what we're going to be talking about here. Oh, we got a whole bunch of new people on board here. Welcome, everybody. If you came in late, this is our 5 steps to rent-to-own success. Great to have everybody on board. Okay, lots of hands going up. Good. So 2 of our 4 main categories of properties to avoid at all costs. Number 1 is rural properties, R-U-R-A-L. I have a hard time saying that word for some reason. Out in the country. How's that sound? Properties that are out in the country. I have nothing against people who live out in the country, but I do have something against buying properties out in the country. The reason being is from a purely business point of view, these are what I call orphan properties. And, you know, as much as I like to tell you everything is sunshine and cookies and loveliness all the time with rent-to-own, it isn't. Sometimes deals go sideways. It's just part of life. You always have to have plan B in the back of your mind. What happens if this deal doesn't work out as originally planned? How easily can I either sell this property? How easily can I do another rent-to-own deal on this property? Or how easily can I rent this property out as a traditional rental if the deal goes sideways? The problem with rural properties is they are very hard to resell. It can take a long time, and you might take a hit on the price as well. Typically, the values aren't going up as quickly as urban properties either. They're difficult to re-rent, difficult to re-rent to own as well, and you can have some really expensive problems with rural properties. So just a quick story. My brother Dan lives outside of Halifax, about 45 minutes outside of Halifax, actually in a very small town. He does most of his rent-to-own deals in the city, but he has done a few out of town as well. And he had one deal going. Everything was good. Everything was happening. Everybody was happy with the property. And then something went wrong with the septic system. So the property was not on city sewage and water. It was on its own septic system, and it backed up or flooded or whatever. whatever nastiness happened there. I have visions of that movie. I can't remember which one of it was, but one of those Meet the Fockers type movies where they were at the wedding and yeah, there was the first one. Remember where he flushed the toilet when he wasn't supposed to, and it flooded the septic field out there, and it turned it into just an absolute mess. Something like that happened to this property. So my brother ended up getting stuck with a $30,000 bill. His tenant buyers skipped out on the deal because they'd rather give up their $10,000 that they put up for the property than have to deal with the additional cost of getting it fixed. So he ended up with one huge headache and a huge expense. And that's largely because it was a rural property. So again, that's the kind of thing you want to avoid. Number 2 kind of property you want to avoid at all costs are mobile homes in mobile home parks. I'll repeat that, mobile homes in mobile home parks. You're saying, Dave, why would you want to avoid mobile homes? They've come a long way, they're nice, it's not the stigma that they used to be, blah, blah, blah. True, that's very, very true. But here's the problem. I don't consider that to be real estate. Why not? Because you don't own the dirt under your house. You're renting the dirt under your house. So you're basically parking your house on somebody else's dirt. And that is a dangerous situation to be in, because if you get into a snit with the mobile home park owner, not only can you get evicted, but your whole house can get evicted as well and get hauled out and dumped unceremoniously on the side of the highway. That does not do good things for property value. Okay, so you don't, that's the biggest challenge. I make light of it, but that's the idea. You really don't own the property. You're just renting a pad with your mobile home on it. So you're at a lot of risk. And the other thing is, they're very, very hard to get financed as an investment. So the other thing, bonusing here for you, a bonus kind of property to avoid, are mobile homes outside of mobile home parks as well. So I was just not that long ago trying to do a deal with a mobile home on its own property, so he actually did own the dirt, but the bank wouldn't give me financing for this because it was a mobile home. They didn't really give me any good reasons for that. They just said they weren't financing mobile homes. So until that changes, I would suggest you avoid wasting your time. So avoid mobile homes altogether. Okay? So those are the 2 main categories, rural properties and mobile homes of pretty much any shape, size, or form as well. Okay. Rent-own success story. My big brother Dan Dubois. Love that guy. There he is. Look at that happy-looking fellow. My big brother Dan. Based in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I married a lovely lady from Cape Breton. She took him to Nova Scotia, and they haven't looked back. He was a certified financial planner for 23 years. That's a pretty long-term career. He started doing rent-own, kind of dabbling in that in 2007. Jumped into it full-time in 2009 because he just got sick and tired of watching the market go up and down, and his clients getting ticked off at him every time they lost money, which with the stock market and mutual funds seems to be quite often. So he said enough of that, got into rent-own full-time. He's now got over 24 rent-own deals either in process or under his belt. So he has definitely taken this and rock and rolled with that as well. Very happy to say that Dan's going to be one of our featured speakers at the upcoming Rent-Own Profit Summit in July in Kamloops. So he's going to be talking about opportunities with pre-foreclosure properties. Again, opportunities with pre-foreclosure properties. Okay, nice words from our good friend Ralph Stanfield. Ralph's actually been to 2 of our rent-own summits. Appreciate that very, very much, Ralph. Talking about the course there. Another quick example of one of Rick's deals, deal number 4. So again, Rick's got, I believe, 6 deals up and going right now. Another deal in St. Albert, this one, $16,000 non-refundable, $818 a month cash flow. It's going to see $7,000 payday at the end of the 2 years. Total profit, over $42,000 in 2 years. So very, very good. Okay, step 4 of 5, if you're writing notes. This is huge. Let me get all of our little things here. Wait, go back there. Okay, getting your client qualified. So, quick recap. Marketing, we've attracted clients. Sifting and sorting, we've got that figured out. Number 3, getting the house and getting under contract, buying the house. So step number 4, this is once we've got our rent-to-own deal up and running, we've got our tenant, we've got our rent-to-own client in the house chugging along, and things are going smooth. The temptation here is to just sit back and happily and passively enjoy the passive cash flow there, cashing checks. That is the temptation, and that's the big mistake most uneducated or lazy rent-to-own investors make. And why is this a big mistake? Because left to their own devices, most people will not improve their credit on their own to the level that it needs to get to for them to qualify for financing at the end of the 2 or 3 year deal. So the only way for this whole plan to really work out win-win-win for everybody is if they qualify for a mortgage at the end of the term. So if we can't count on them to do that themselves, we have to help them along. What does that involve? That involves creating a comprehensive plan of action for them at the beginning of the deal, showing them exactly where they are, where they need to be to qualify for a mortgage in 2 or 3 years, and the steps that they have to take to make that happen. Okay, so that's step number 1, is creating that plan. Step number 2 is that which gets measured gets done. So you have to follow up with them. Regular meetings. Regular meetings. How regular meetings? I suggest every 3 months at the property for 2 reasons. First of all, to keep them on track, make sure that they're doing what they said they're going to do. Second of all, to make sure that you can take a little look around the property and make sure they don't have a marijuana grow operation in your basement. I don't even chuckle about that anymore. I live in BC. That's a very real concern, not just in BC, all over the place. Don't want grow operations, so that's a good way to go check that out. And I let people know that ahead of time before they even get into the deal, that we're going to be meeting with them and we're going to be checking out the house every 3 months. We want to make sure they pull their credit and that they work on repairing things to get things qualified. So this is the biggest mistake I see people making, is getting lazy about that. It really doesn't take that much time or effort to do this. And in fact, you don't even have to do it. You can hire somebody to do that for you, or you can create that as part of the program where somebody else, a professional, does this for you as a service and just reports to you about how things are going, which is what I would highly recommend. So that's actually why we're going to be having one of our special guests at the upcoming Rent-to-Own Profit Summit is going to be Mr. Dan Heon, who is a professional mortgage broker who also does credit, what does he call it? Credit coaching with rent-to-own clients. So it's not credit counseling, it's coaching. He coaches them along on what they need to do. I love working with Dan because not only is he a mortgage broker, he also does this credit coaching service, but he is a professional real estate investor as well. So he knows the whole process, and he's really focused on rent-to-own clients for a long time. So looking forward to having him coming to Kamloops as well. Okay, another quick success story. This is Matt and Les Crowley, father-son team. I actually just spoke to Matt today, and this deal is chugging along just great. So they got the first deal under their belt, $10,000 up front, just under $1,300 a month net positive cash flow. They should see just under $13,000 payday at the end of the deal as well. So I just talked with Matt today. He said that deal is going along really well. They may have to extend it for another year, in which case they're going to get another $15,000 option fee from that client to extend the deal for another year. So definitely a way to do that. Now, just to give you an idea here, Matt and his dad are very busy folks. Matt was a full-time university student. His dad is an engineer, I believe. Busy guys. They're doing this very part-time. Okay, nice words from Jeffrey Free. This course is easily worth $5,000. I paid much more for other courses, received 10 times less than what Dave has given. If you're thinking about taking the course, stop and just do it. I'm so glad I did. I don't regret a penny. Okay, step number 5 of 5 is cashing the check. So at the end of the deal, we've done all our job, and we've got our tenant buyer qualified for mortgage, and they're going to be buying the house from us. So again, it's basically just cashing out after 2 or 3 years. So we've got our money up front, non-refundable option fee, anywhere between $5,000 and $50,000 non-refundable option fee up front. outstanding monthly cash flow, $500, $800, $1,000 or more every single month, and a nice little pop of cash at the end. Usually it's between $2,000 and $20,000. Why? Why do we not make more at the end? Because quite frankly, we've gotten paid up front, and we've got a lot of our profit in the way of cash flow throughout the deal as well, instead of waiting for it all at the end. So we still try to set these things up so that we get a nice little pop at the end of the program as well. Another success story here, Gene and Alan Minchu from Spring Coulee, Alberta. If you don't know where that is, somewhere near Lethbridge, small town there. They took the program, got a deal under their belt, looking at a total of over $40,000 in profit from their first deal as well. Example deals of my own here from Kamloops. So this is a townhouse, got $15,000 up front, over $760 a month net cash flow, another $6,000 at the end of 2 years. Total profit just under $40,000 for this particular rent-to-own deal. Now, talking about getting involved in rent-to-own deals with no money, no credit, no investors, the way to do that is with sandwich leases. And this is an example of the first sandwich lease that I ever did. I got $7,000 up front from my rent-to-own client, $650 a month net cash flow, total profit over $30,000. This is actually an 18-month deal, so very, very good profit in a relatively short amount of time. The beautiful thing is this was all with none of my own money down, just a bit of money for doing some making the deal legal and doing some marketing to get the client into it. I had no investors involved with this, working directly with the tenant buyer and working with the property seller, and I was at minimal risk during this deal as well. So we show in the program exactly how to do that sort of thing as well. And for some, Rick Wheeler is actually rocking and rolling with this. He's got 3 sandwich leases on the go. So this is an example of one of them. This little property got $6,200 up front. He's seeing just under $550 a month cash flow, total profit over $25,000 on this little property, 2 years. None of his own money, no investors, no mortgage, and no credit involved. So one of my guest experts on the program is Paul Hetch. He's the author of Everyday Real Estate Millionaires. And because I wanted to find somebody who's got more experience doing sandwich leases than I do, I got Paul involved with this project because he has over a dozen sandwich leases in his own personal experience. So we really walk through the different things he does and how he structures his sandwich leases. So we cover that very, very completely in the program. A few other example deals here. This was a little single-family home. Actually, this was a 2-bedroom older home. It was like a war era home. $12,000 upfront, non-refundable option fee, over $1,100 a month net positive cash flow. Total profit just over $41,000. A 2-year deal with that. Another one. This is a bigger profit, over $52,000. Reason for that is this is a 3-year deal. So the longer the deal, the higher the profit tends to be. Got $14,000 up front, just under $900 a month net cash flow on this deal for $52,000 over 3 years. So how about you? Would you like to get results like this? Are you ready to start finally living life on your own terms, like it's a main act and you're not doing a dress rehearsal? Then my rent-to-own cash on-demand system has everything you need to get up and going with rent-to-own investing. So I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about the system and also give you some more tips and other creative real estate investing strategies along the way. Okay, so I don't know exactly what your motivations are, what you're looking for, what your why is. It could be to spend more time and provide a better lifestyle for your loved ones, your family. It could be to have some of the nicer things in life, maybe a nice car like that one we see down there. It could be to get rid of some of the financial stress you might have in your life and increase your cash flow and your net worth. I'm not sure what your why is, but I think that if you take rent-to-own real estate investing seriously, this can help you accomplish your goals. I do know that it's worked for many, many students across the country. It works for them. It'll work for you too. So what are some of the big benefits? This is a Canadian program proven to work here in Canada across the country. So this is a huge thing because, again, typically we're getting American real estate investing education stuffed down our throats. And to be quite frank, it works really good south of the border. not so good north of the border a lot of the time. So this is Canadian, by Canadians, for Canadians. This is a way for you to really achieve financial freedom, get out of the rat race, live life on your own terms. And when you get educated, whether it's with my program or another program, getting properly educated is a huge competitive advantage because most people are just flying by the seat of their pants. You know, why do that? Why? You're going to learn a couple of different ways. You can either learn the hard, very expensive way, which is called the School of Hard Knocks or life experience, or you can learn from my School of Hard Knocks and my very expensive life experience and take a big shortcut. And you can do it at your own pace. Okay? So the first thing of this is our Rent-to-Own online training university. So this is a way for you to have 24/7 access to the entire program online. I'm talking about all of the videos, all of the training videos, all of the audios. You can download those onto your iPhone or MP3 player or what have you and listen to them at your convenience. All of the paperwork, all of the Rent-to-Own paperwork is in there. All of the slides are in there. Everything you need is online and included as part of the program. So the value for that is at least $19.95. Then, very, very cool, we've got our Rent-to-Own Cash on Demand, the recordings, the handouts, the PowerPoint slides. So we've got a whole program there, the binders and everything there for you. Very, very cool. A $700 value. This is the new thing we've got. You know, before we had a whole bunch of DVDs and CDs and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of bulky. And to be quite frank with you, it was a little bit, you know, just overwhelming. It's too much. So we've really made this super cool and very, very easy for you. So we've got everything put on this MP4 video and audio player. Let me see if I can show this to you. Hi again, back at you. So Wagner, I hope I'm working this right. Press the button twice, right, buddy? Oh, there we go. When I came back to the country, so there we go. We got the whole program on this MP4 player. So the cool thing is, you know, you can watch the videos here. So you can watch the whole thing on a nice compact thing. It's right there for you to watch anytime. You can plug in your headphones so you can listen to them privately. You can plug this thing into your computer so you can watch the videos on your computer if you don't have internet access right then, or if you know how, you can plug it into your TV, watch it on your TV. You can plug this thing into your, if you're set up with your car, into your car stereo and listen to the audio in your car. Very, very compact. I don't have a pocket with me, but fits right in your pocket. Kind of looks like a GPS. So I call this like your GPS for R2O success. How do you like that for acronyms? Love this little thing. So this is our newest thing. This is our newest way of delivering the information to you in a very usable, beneficial format. Make sure I get right back to the right slide. So that is the newest version of the program, and you get all of that. That's at least a $700 value. We also get our deal calculator and software deal analyzer. I used to make fun of my good friend Ken Beaton about this. He had an analyzer for his real estate program he was so thrilled about. I made fun about him for the longest time about it, but this is very, very cool. Why? Because there are a lot of numbers to keep in mind, a lot of numbers to crunch, and we made this super simple by showing you exactly what you need to be plugging into this so that you're not missing out on any of the numbers to calculate the true profit potential of your deals. So that's included as well. Spent a lot of money getting a software guy to put this all together, so very real world value of $797 would be very, very real. This is something else that's very cool. Legal library, forms, contracts, paperwork. Doesn't sound very exciting, but this is super important. So I spent thousands and thousands of dollars getting contracts put together. I'm handing these to you on a silver platter. So we've got the complete contracts for the province of British Columbia. We've got them for the province of Alberta and the province of Ontario as well. You can use them as is, or I would actually recommend you take them as a template to your lawyer and have him tweak it a little bit, make it really work for your situation. But at least you've got them ready to go. You don't have to start over from scratch, and this will save you thousands of dollars in legal fees of getting paperwork done. Plus, they've been created by quote-unquote creative real estate lawyers instead of just typical lawyers who don't get this kind of stuff. So putting a value of $1,200 on this is very, very low. It's worth a lot more than that. Something very cool here, my deal maker blueprint put together a 30,000 foot perspective of how the whole rent-to-own process works. So after you go through the program, this is good to have on your wall so you can make sure you're not missing any of the steps when you're going through a deal. So I'm very, very proud of this part of the program myself because it took a heck of a lot of time and effort and work to get this put together. I think it's very, very helpful just so you don't remember any of, so you don't forget any of the moving parts when you're going through a deal. So very real world value, $400. Yeah, again, it's hard to put value on these because they cost so much to create for you in the first place, but $400 would be fair. Something very cool here, stamp of approval deal review. So you're up and going, you're working on a deal, maybe it's your first deal, your second deal, you're a little bit nervous about it, you want a second set of eyes to take a look at it, no problem. Just put the numbers down on this sheet that we give you, send it to me either by email or by fax. I'll take a look at it, make sure everything looks good. If it does, I'll give you an approved. If it doesn't, I'll show you where you need to be tweaking things, and you get a good set of second eyes taking a look at the whole thing. Rapid results, fast start guide and CD. Again, very important. This gets you off on the right foot, starting on the right track right away because, again, it's a lot of materials. So I suggest to everybody that they start with this first. It gives you the big overview, and it actually kind of shows you where to start as well. If you already have some real estate investing experience, you can kind of pick and choose where you want to start in the program. And this is what we've been talking about for a while here is the Rent-to-Own Profit Summit coming up in July 26th, 27th, 28th. As part of this package, you get to come for free to this. Let me see if I can pull that up. There we are. So this is R2OProfitSummit.com. So if you, I'll scroll down this, just kind of very briefly go over this. So if you can check this out, R2OProfitSummit.com, and just go through it. It takes some time for this because, again, it's important that you see what other people who've gone before you think about the program. It's not just enough for me to tell you what I think about it, but see what other people just like you think of the program and what they've accomplished with it as well. So we've got lots of great videos on there from students, people just like you. A little welcome message from me there, talking about rent-to-own in general, talking about some of the deals which we've been talking about here. Very cool testimonial to watch here from Malcolm and Janelle Setter. They've done some amazing things here. And then, speaking of Sheldon Dietz, here's a great testimonial here. Sheldon actually broke the record. He got, one of his option fees was $70,000, $70,000 as a non-refundable option fee up front on one of his deals near Grand Prairie. Okay, again, lots of testimonials, talking a little bit about my background, more testimonials, all that kind of good stuff. And then we get down here and this talks about what's included with the actual live training at the summit. So we're going to go over a lot of the material that was in the actual home study course just to clarify for you. Great chance for you to ask any questions, get clarification on anything live and in person. So the fundamentals of rent-to-own, how to get up and running quickly. Rent-to-own marketing, we go over that. That's very important for filling your funnel. Session 3, pre-screening your rent-to-own clients. Very, very important. We talked briefly about that. We go into that more in depth. Session number 4, financials and paperwork. Crunching the numbers, covering your assets, making sure the deal is legal. Session 5, how to buy the home and what you're doing during the deal. And session number 6, sandwich leases A to Z. Again, a lot of people want to get involved with this, might not have investors ready to go, so they need to get going with a way to do this with no money, no investors, and very, very little risk. So that's the way to do that, and we'll go over that in depth. And then, like I said, we've got 4 special bonuses. We got myself. I'm going to be talking about the dark side of rent-to-own, how to avoid getting ripped off, because unfortunately, there are people out there that kind of prey on new rent-to-own investors offering pre-packaged deals. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're really, really bad. So it's to be able to see how to avoid getting ripped off. Also, sometimes either, usually it's inadvertently, rent-to-own investors not knowing what they do set up their tenant buyers for failure and end up ripping them off. We don't want to do that. So I want to show you how to avoid getting ripped off and how to avoid accidentally ripping people off as well, because that's not how we like to do business. Number 2, mystery guests, keeping it all neat and legal. Okay, I've got the big mystery guest there thing because I want to add a little bit of mystery to the whole thing, but truth be known, we didn't have the person pegged down when we put this all together. We do now, and I'm happy to announce that our mystery guest is a very well-known creative real estate lawyer based in British Columbia, Mr. Rick Ledding. He is one of the lawyers that the Real Estate Investment Network recommends to their investors. I've worked with him personally. He's created the paperwork I use for rent-own here in BC, and he's been doing creative stuff with real estate investors for over 20 years, so he definitely knows some stuff. Opportunities and pre-foreclosure properties, my big brother Dan Dubois, and then again Dan Heon, our mortgage broker, talking about getting your clients lined up for financing, either doing that yourself or how to find somebody who can help you do that as well. So that is a brief overview of what the whole Rent-Own Summit is. And let's see, where we go. Yeah, and a great way. Here's the other thing that I love about the Rent-Own Summit, and this is included with the package, and that's a value of at least $19.95. You get to bring a guest along for free. It's a 3-day event, July 26th, 27th, and 28th. And one of the things I love about this is a great way to meet other like-minded investors from across the country. So no better place in the country to do that. And let's see, we've got a couple of quick testimonials here, so I'm going to plug this in and we'll hear what they have to say.
My name is Dave Rathbone. I'm from the Lower Mainland, Port Toronto.
Okay, and what do you think of the summit so far?
Well, the summit's been great. You know, I mean, Dave Dubois puts on a program, and he always delivers more than what you would expect, and it's no different this time. And he's put on a fantastic weekend here for all of us, and we've all learned some valuable stuff that's going to make us
Gary Levesque from Victoria, BC. I'm just happy to be here. Dave has already over-delivered. You know, it's just so much fun. It's just an easygoing atmosphere. We've had so much of the experts coming in on Skype, and we've got another one that's coming in now. It's more than it's more than the one thing that I was looking for, and I'm quite more than pleased.
All right, and one of the things that I'm including as what I call a mega bonus in this whole program is my More Deals Now deal attraction system. Now, why am I so excited about this? Because this is the exact marketing materials that I have used, that I used when I was doing my 18 creative deals in 18 months time frame, plus what I do now to attract FSBO home sellers as potential sandwich leases for our rent-own program. So again, this is all of the marketing materials, the templates, everything you need to get up and running very, very quickly. And if you're interested in doing sandwich leases, this is vital as a part of that, because this gives you everything that you need to attract motivated home sellers, FSBO home sellers, to you, eagerly knocking on your website, so to speak, eager for you to make an offer on their property. So that is included as a mega bonus as part of this whole thing. So how much is this worth? Well, let's use a point of reference here. If you're really serious about getting involved in rent-own real estate investing, you could do a 3-day private training with myself and my right-hand man, Wagner, here at my office in Kamloops. And I mean private training, one-on-one training with us. If you choose to do that, the investment is $30,000. Now, 30 grand is a lot of money, but from what you've seen, you know that one little rent-own deal could easily pay for all of that and then some. And if you're interested, you'd like one-on-one help from me, you can contact my personal assistant, Tracy, at admin@resultsenterprises.com. If you can do this, I highly recommend that you do, because this is definitely the fastest way to get up and running quickly in those 3 days. I'll train you about everything that I know about rent-own real estate investing, plus we'll get all of your marketing up and going, your websites, the whole bit, all condensed into 3 days, and send you away knowledgeable and with an operating rent-to-own business up and going. However, not everybody can do 30 grand. I understand that, so that's why this whole system, we look at, we got the training university, we've got the recordings, we've got the calculator software, we've got the legal forms, the blueprint, the quick start guide, attendance at the summit, the More Deals Now system. Total value of that, $9,495. But again, and that's a real world value. And again, I've invested this kind of money in different courses myself, so I can legitimately say that, yes, it is worth that much. However, your investment is only $5,000. You're welcome to invest in that here today, and we'll show you how to do that a little later on in the program. So if you want to get the whole rent-to-own program on its own, the price now is $5,000, and that gets you even the cool little GPS for R2O thingamajig as well, so the MP4 player too. So again, like I say, $30,000, $5,000, yes, it's a bit of money. I don't know if it seems like a lot or a little to you, but let's put it in perspective compared to the profit potential of just doing one little creative real estate deal. So this is an example of a townhouse deal here in Kamloops. Got $8,000 up front, $603 a month net cash flow. Total profit on this deal over $33,000 in 2 years. So would that make it worth it? I should hope. All right. Now, if rent-to-own is a great creative real estate investing strategy, but what I'd like to do is tell you about a couple of other creative real estate investing strategies that really work well combined with rent-to-own. And this is it's a new resource that I've just created, and I want to show you a couple of the fastest creative ways to make quick profits in real estate. So again, if you're really serious about taking control of your financial life, creating that $100,000 a year or more income with as few as 3 little creative deals, and if you'd like to do it sooner rather than later, then I want to tell you about the Creative Profits Club. And this is ongoing creative real estate investing. This is education, tools, and support. This is the best way to create that 100K income quickly, again, from as few as 3 little creative deals, doing it part-time in as little as a year. And this is proven to work right here in Canada. So anytime you're looking at getting involved in a program, it's important that you make sure that you've got all the pillars of success that you need, which is what we've included with the Creative Profits Club. So first pillar is learning. The second one is helping you to actually do something with it and to achieve. Third one is having fun. All work and no play makes us all dull. And number 4 is support. It's getting that help that you need along the way. So the first pillar of Creative Profits Club is learning. And of course, we've got all sorts of training that's included with this, and it's by far the best program in the market for teaching you those profit-pulling creative real estate investing techniques and strategies that are proven to work here in Canada. So there are many, many options if you want to learn about traditional buy and hold real estate investing. There aren't very many good options if you want to learn about creative real estate investing, and this is definitely it. And this is the only program of its kind in the country. So what is involved with the learning, the education component? Well, we've got live monthly web training programs exclusively for our CPC members. You're also going to get a hard copy of all of that every month. Get access to a members-only website. You can see things 24/7. You get 2 tickets, one for you and one for a guest, to all of our live summit events. So right now we've got our Rent-to-Own Profit Summit coming up. We're also going to be having a Buy, Fix, Sell Summit probably in October. And starting next year, we'll actually have 3 different summits going: Rent-to-Own, Buy, Fix, Sell, and what I call my Magnetic Deal Attraction Summit as well. So that's what's coming up. So just attending those trainings, real world value, at least $69.95. Here's just a kind of an overview of some of the training topics. You don't have to worry about becoming an expert at all of these. Some will fit what you like doing more than others. It's a good idea to have a little bit of information about all of them, though, and that way you can really focus on what works best for you, your situation, and your particular real estate market. So we've got a ton of different areas that we're going to be looking at as actual monthly trainings. So one of the other strategies, in addition to rent-to-own as far as creative real estate investing, are options. So this is an example of an option deal that I did myself, And with this deal, I actually made over $30,000 in profits in 90 days. And with this kind of strategy, you're actually working with very nice homes in nice neighborhoods. And what I love about this is you don't need any money. You're at zero risk. So you're not even leasing the property. You're not making any payments on the property. You're at no risk with these kind of deals. You don't need any investors, and your credit is absolutely irrelevant. And that is doing auctions. And we go over that in depth in the program. And then, of course, there are buy, fix, sells, or just flips. This is an example of a flip deal that I did. The seller was asking $40,000. I ended up paying, believe it or not, $5,000. I sold it for $30,000, so the buyer was getting a deal, and that was a very nice $25,000 profit for very, very little work. So you're going to be discovering how easy it is to do these kind of deals. In fact, you're going to be getting training from a young fellow who's on track to do over 25 flips this year alone. So you think you can learn something from that? I know you can, and so can I. So really looking forward to that. Again, we talked about sandwich leases. This is an example of the first sandwich lease that I did. Again, with sandwich leases, you don't need any money down, you don't need any investors, and you're at minimum risk as well. So question is, how many of these little deals would you need to do a year to replace your current JOB income and start living life on your own terms? How'd you like to do what you want, when you want, and how you want to do it? How would you like that financial, not just financial, but personal freedom? That's what it's all about. And that's what this program is all about too. So second pillar is achieving. It's not just enough to teach you. I want to actually help you achieve your goals. So we're going to have a lot of done for you or almost done for you templates that you can take and you can use and you can put to use in your own real estate investing business. So examples, we've got monthly easing templates ready to go. Just personalize them and they're ready to go. Monthly investor and rent-to-own client newsletter templates, again, ready to use. Every month we're going to go over a creative deal generation marketing template, and I'm going to give you that as well. Just personalize it and you're ready to go with it. And then very, very cool as well, every month we're going to go over real-time deals by real members. And they're going to go in depth about what they did, how they did it, what's working really well, what could be working better, so you can see real deals in real time. So the value for that is $29.97. And here's just a quick example of some of the templates that you're going to have access to. Again, all you have to do is personalize them, and they're ready to go. You don't have to come up with all this information. We're giving it to you on a silver platter as part of this. Now, real estate investing, getting involved in this kind of business, being in business for yourself, it can be lonely out there. So part of the whole program is to have fun and to hang out with other members and other like-minded folks as well. So fun and fellowship is part of the program. Again, we talked about that earlier. We've been down to Scottsdale, Arizona, doing the Rich Dad thing. You see the top left, that's at Robert Kiyosaki's office there. I did the Grand Canyon tour. Bottom left, we were in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Middle of the bottom was the cruise that we did this year. Bottom right, that's Ken and Joanne Beaton doing a helicopter tour. Joanne not looking all that thrilled about it. It was a lot of fun. So fun and fellowship is what it's all about. So you're going to get invitations to our club getaway trips, invitations to all of our live summit events, which you can attend for free with a guest, and very, very cool, invitations to live mastermind meetings. So this is very, very high value. If you've never been part of a mastermind, it'll blow your socks off. And basically, to give you an idea, this is where we get a group of anywhere from 5 to 15 of us together in a confidential setting. You get your turn in front of the group where you talk about what your biggest challenge is at the moment. And the entire group, we focus all of our knowledge, our experience, our wisdom, our education, our contacts on you and your specific situation. And the power of having so many people looking at your problem with a fresh perspective is absolutely amazing. So you get the opportunity to attend these mastermind members as a CPC member. Last but not least is getting the help you need when you need it. And that is the support component of the whole program. So What does that include? That includes a monthly Q&A call. Speaking of which, all of our CPC members on this, remember that our first one's going to be tomorrow. So make sure you watch your email for that. I already sent you one for that. You're also going to have direct access by email to me. So there's a specific email address just for our Creative Profits Club members. You get a yearly personal one-on-one phone call with me, or we can do Skype, whichever you prefer as well, where I can help you coach you through any challenges that you might have, give you any suggestions or advice that you're looking for. And again, these opportunities to attend the live mastermind meetings, absolutely huge. So the value on that, at least $5,000. I have personally spent over $40,000 a year to belong just to a mastermind group. So huge, huge value there. So again, all of the different components, the learning training, the learning component, the achieving component, fun in the fellowship, the networking, the support, personal help when you need it, total value just under $21,000. And that, like I say, I've spent over $40,000 a year to be part of a group kind of like that. Your investment, a lot less than that. It's just $9.97 and $149 bi-weekly. This is a 12-month program to really give you everything that you need to get going and get up and running as a successful creative real estate investor. Find out all about that. R2OProfitSummit.com is where we have this offer. R2OProfitSummit.com. You can check that out there. Now, I'm going to sweeten the pot even more. Now, the program alone for this would be definitely worth it, and people are on board and have invested this to be part of the program. But again, we have to have a special introductory offer for you tonight because you're on the webinar. So that's why I'm going to include the entire rent-own cash-on-demand system. So that's, again, a $5,000 value if you want to buy it on its own. I'm going to include that as part of your membership when you enroll tonight, so that you get that, the entire program, for free. That's right, the entire program for free. You get everything that's a part of the rent-own cash-on-demand system as part of your enrollment in the Creative Profits Club membership tonight. So, and you can have immediate access to all of that. Now, we've all been ripped off, and if before with people not living up to their commitments, and I definitely want you to try this out risk-free. So I've got several guarantees. The first one is my 100% satisfaction money-back guarantee. What does that mean? Take action now, invest in yourself, become a Creative Profits Club member with the rent-own package. Try it all out for 30 days. If you decide it's not for you, hey, no sweat, no problem, no hard feelings. Just send everything back in good condition for a complete refund. No hassles, no conditions. Again, go to R2OProfitSummit.com to get enrolled right away. So you've got an entire month to try the whole thing out, try the online stuff, take a look at all the materials that come to you, check out the little GPS for R2O investors thing. Try the whole thing. If it's not for you, no problem. Send it back for a complete refund. Now here's the really cool guarantee. This is my outrageous 100K in 12 months guarantee. What does that mean? That means join the club and actually apply what you've learned. And if after 12 months you have not created at least $100,000 in profits, to show me that you've given it a good college try, a serious try. You really put effort into it. And if you follow the instruction, if you've put effort into it and you haven't had success, I will refund you everything you've invested in the Canadian Profits Club. Exactly. So I will refund you everything. You've got 12 months to try it. If it doesn't work, I'll give you all of your money back. Conditions do apply, so you have to read the fine print there. Basically, the conditions are you have to do something. You have to follow the instructions. You have to actually give it a good, solid college try. All right? Again, get all of that, R2OProfitSummit.com. So how do I have the cojones to do this kind of a guarantee? Well, I could see, if it was just me being successful doing these creative, out-of-the-box real estate investing techniques, well, it could be a fluke, but it's not. We've got students across the country who've done this and more working part-time. So I know that if you put the same effort and apply yourself the same way, you're going to get the same results. It's just going to happen. All right? That's how I have the confidence to offer this crazy guarantee. All right, so again, it's only $9.97, $149 bi-weekly, 12-month program. So it's an initial 12-month commitment, and then after that, you can continue on month to month. You can cancel at any time after that if you so choose. However, most of our Creative Profits Club members continue on and on because it's just such a great way to stay connected and keep getting educated about creative real estate investing. All right, so we got a couple of choices here, but this is our newest version of the rent-to-own cash-on-demand system for Canadians. That's the one I showed you with the GPS thing there. But I've also got several copies, 9 I believe, of our previous version of the program. So these are extra copies that we had made up that are in the warehouse here with us, and also we've had a few people send back their programs because it wasn't for them, so we've had some returns as well. So they are gently used but in perfect condition, some of them. And what I'm going to do is I couldn't think of a better name, so we're going to call it a scratch and dent sale. And like I said, I believe we've got 9 sets. We're going to offer these for just $4.97 for your enrollment fee in the Creative Profits Club membership. So instead of $9.97, it's $500 off. It's only $4.97, and then $149 bi-weekly as normal for the CPC membership. So this is a way to save $500. These materials are perfectly good. It's got all of the same information. The only thing you're doing is you're getting a bunch of CDs and DVDs instead of the MP4 player, the little GPS looking thing. You're getting the actual physical CDs and DVDs instead. So that you can help us out to make room for our new programs and blow out these old versions of the program. We've only got 9 sets of them. We're giving you a $500 discount for doing that. Again, R2OProfitSummit.com for all of that. Oh, Mr. Sheldon Dietz, who's on the call tonight. Hope you're doing good there, Sheldon. Sheldon is another one of our rock star success stories. Sheldon is a very busy gentleman. He works full time. He's a mechanic. He also is a professional real estate investor. Before he started the program, I believe he had 8 doors under his belt. So he is working full time and landlording full time. And then on top of that, family responsibilities, much more than the rest of us have. I'll leave it at that, but he's definitely a very, very, very busy guy. Took the program and just ran with it. He did 6 rent-to-own deals within 10 months. He got 2 of the biggest option fees that I know of any of our students. One of them was $40,000, another one $70,000 upfront, non-refundable option fee. And this was at the insistence of the clients. This was not him asking for that much money. It was them wanting to give him that much. So if somebody wants to give me $70,000, guess what? I'll take it off their hands. That's fine. Put it put it in a safe place for them. So again, that applies towards their down payment when they buy the property. Non-refundable if they flake out on the deal. So he's doing rent-to-own very part-time. He's working full-time. He's got the family responsibilities. He's got his other rental business going as well. So if he can do it, we can do it too. And then here's another great success story. Jade and JP Cloutier from Calgary did a little sandwich lease deal. They're looking at making $40,000 in the next 2 to 3 years on their very, very first deal, thanks to the program. So nice, typical couple there. Another example deal of one of my deals in Kamloops, 14 grand up front, just under $900 a month net cash flow, total profit over $52,000 because this is actually a 3-year deal, not 2 years. Now, how about if I sweeten the pot even more? How would you like to get paid $500 for doing your first creative deal? Doesn't matter if it's rent-to-own, an option, a flip, what have you. $500 for doing your first creative deal. Well, that's what this is all about. This is a $500 case study scholarship. And the way this works is enroll in the program today, Creative Profits Club membership, along with the rent-to-own cash-on-demand system. Put what you learn to use. Do 1 creative deal in the next 12 months and send me your success story and pictures. So I want to use you as a case study, and I'll give you a $500 scholarship check. So that means you're going to have your creative deal and $500 from me to boot as well. So that's valid for 12 months from the day you become a Creative Profits Club member. Right? Here's Malcolm and Janelle Setter from Fort McMurray. Again, these folks have 6 deals, last time I heard, up and running on the go up around Fort Mac. Hope they aren't getting rained out too badly right now. Here's what they had. Another smash hit program. Dave went in hoping to expand my understanding of different types of real estate investing. Came out with an operating business. You accomplish what you're constantly drilling into our heads, under promise and over deliver. Okay, Ron Geddert from Abbotsford, BC. Little note there. You prevented me, I'm sure, from making many of the mistakes I would have made trying to do it by myself. So that's the advantage of learning with a proven system. So again, you've got no risk. You've got my 100% money back satisfaction guarantee. Try it all out. If you're not thrilled, send it back for all of your money back. You've also got my outrageous 100K in 12 months guarantee. Put it to use, and if you don't create at least 100 grand in profits in 12 months, let me know. Show me that you've given it a good college try, and I will refund you all of your investment. And then you've also got your $500 creative case study scholarship just for sharing with me the deals of your first creative deal. Doesn't get much better than that. Again, you've got choices here. $9.97 will get you the brand new system with all of those components, and $149 bi-weekly. Again, R2OProfitSummit.com. And I've got a couple of fast action bonuses for you here. First of all, we've got a 2-pay payment plan, so you can pay your enrollment in 2 installments, 30 days apart. And this is valid when you enroll in the program up until Friday, June 21st. And this is also very cool. If you enroll in the program and if you decide that you're going to be coming to our upcoming Rento and Profits Summit here in Kamloops in July, I'm going to include a free VIP meal plan for you and a guest. So what does that mean? You can come to the Profits Summit for free, but obviously there's a cost for meals, right? You have to go out for lunch or do something for lunch. We've created these VIP meal plans so that your lunches are covered all 3 days, plus we're going out for a VIP dinner on Saturday night. I'm going to include that for you and a guest for free when you invest in the program and enroll in the program today. And this is only valid until June 28th, okay? Or you've got the other option. You can get the Scratch and Dent sale, our previous version of the Rent-to-Own Cash on Demand system. It's got all of the same information as the newest version, but just in a different format. So you're getting the physical CDs and DVDs instead of the little MP4 player. So again, this is only $497. We've got 9 sets available, $497 and then $149 bi-weekly. Again, the 12-month program after that, it's month to month for as long as you want to continue to be a member. Get all the details and enroll, R2OProfitsSummit.com. And for you folks that invest in the $497 option, I'm going to also include that VIP meal plan if you take advantage of this right away and you decide that you're going to be coming to the summit. Okay, again, you can go to a little note to myself, R2OProfitsSummit.com. Just want to show you what that looks like quickly. Hopefully this is working for me. There we go. Okay, so we go down here, click to secure your seat. So if you click on that, we're at R2O Profit Summit. We've actually got 2 boxes here. The first box is for the newest version of the system with the MP4 player. So $997, that option plus the $149 bi-weekly. We've got the extra bonuses there as well. We've got to talk about that. So if you like that, you click there. Then we've got the Scratch and Dent special offer. We've got 9 of those. If you want that, you click here. Now, as soon as we run out of the Scratch and Dent packages, we're going to take this button right off the website. So if you don't see it on the website, if you're watching the replay of this video and you don't see this on the website, that means there aren't any left. Okay? So let's just take a quick look at how to enroll. I'm going to click on the Enroll Now form, and hopefully that's working. There we go. Okay, so this is the example of the $497 Scratch and Dent special offer. And you basically go here and fill out your first name, last name, email, all your contact information. Very important. If you're going to be coming to the Rent-to-Own Summit in July, that's cool. If you're going to be bringing a guest, that's great. Please put your guest's name here. If you're not sure who you're going to be bringing as a guest, just put unsure or to advise, something like that. But let us know that you're bringing a guest. And then under the miscellaneous, check all that applies. So if you're definitely coming, check off, yes, I'm coming. If you're coming and you're bringing a guest, yes, 2 of us are coming. But please do not check that off if you don't plan on coming to the into the summit because we've got very limited space. And if you say that you're coming but you don't, then that means somebody else who really wants to might not be able to come in. Okay, then it's the billing address, all the normal stuff, your credit card information. Just fill that out. Again, please just use, I think we've got the option there for MasterCard, Visa, and Amex. Please just use MasterCard and Visa. The Amex isn't working too well for some reason with our merchant account. And then there's the product purchase plan. So it's one payment of $497, and then Creative Profits Club membership bi-weekly payments $149, and those are charged on the 1st and the 15th. So you won't see a charge for that until actually July the 1st. And then you got the total there. So very important. At the bottom here, terms and conditions. So this is the fine print. There's quite a bit of it here. Please read it all because it's important. We've got information here about the unconditional money back guarantee, and most importantly about our 100K in 12 months guarantee. Important you understand how that works, the scholarship, and then membership fees, all the normal stuff there. So you take a look through that, and then initial at the bottom here, and then press your click your order. You can see here we've got our security certificates to show you that your enrollment online is safe and secure. That's why we've got 4 different certifications right there, 5 actually. So you can feel very, very comfortable ordering online. If you prefer to order in person, you may or may not have luck for this, especially for the scratch and dent one, but you're welcome to call membership services for that if you prefer. Okay, and if you prefer the normal price package, you can just scroll up for that. Now, important, we've got some folks here on the call who are already rent-to-own cash-on-demand students, and or they're already Creative Profits Club members. You guys, you've already invested in the program. You don't need to do it twice. Just click on the big yellow button, and that can get you enrolling, signing up for the upcoming Rent-to-Own Profits Summit in July. Again, that's either with a refundable seat deposit or with the meal plan, your choice. Okay, but again, that's free attendance for you if you're already a student or a CPC member. All right, let's go back to our slideshow. We're wrapping up here. So again, you guys, I want to thank you very, very much for your time on the call tonight. It's been my pleasure. If I didn't get to your questions on time, I apologize for that, and I'll try to answer them offline individually as well. And I highly encourage you, if you're interested in, if you're really interested in real estate investing, if you'd like to make a full-time income from it, this is the only way I know how to do that, besides having 100+ doors with traditional buy and hold, right? Which is very difficult for most people to do. So if you want to get up and going with real estate investing, if you want to do it as a full-time thing, or you want to just create a full-time income doing it part-time, this is the way to do it. It's creative real estate investing. It's the combination of my rent-to-own cash-on-demand system for Canadians, plus membership in the Creative Profits Club is going to give you all the tools you need to accomplish your goals in real estate investing. Again, your satisfaction is guaranteed. You can try the whole thing out. If you're not thrilled, just send it back for a money-back guarantee. Most people absolutely love it, and that's why I've also got the 100K in 12 months guarantee, because I really want you to put this stuff to use and become successful. Nothing juices me up more than hearing about, people like Rick Wheeler with 6 or 7 deals under his belt, people like Sheldon Dietz with all those deals under his belt as well, and getting $70,000 option fees. I love that. This is my working purpose. It's what I feel like I was put here to do, is help you succeed through creative real estate investing. So thank you very much for your time tonight. Take care and God bless, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.